Epicus, the ancient philosopher, posited that our reactions, rather than the events themselves, shape our emotions. This notion holds a profound truth in our daily interactions, especially when it comes to extending help to others. Your altruistic nature, characterized by a willingness to offer assistance, reflects a commendable quality that's increasingly rare in today's world. Before we begin, I would appreciate it if you liked the video. You can help me continue spreading the Stoic philosophy. If you are not subscribed, I recommend you subscribe and activate the bell so you don't miss any videos. As we embark on the journey of exploring those lessons, kindly comment below with the corresponding lesson number if you find these teachings helpful. Now, let's begin. However, it's crucial to recognize that despite your best efforts, some individuals may remain resistant to change, rendering your support ineffective. Before investing your energy into seemingly insurmountable situations, it's prudent to discern the signs indicating that your efforts might be futile. In this video, we'll explore 9 archetypes of individuals who, for various reasons, may be unwilling to accept help, choosing instead to confront their challenges alone. 1. Those who inhabit false realities. Within the tapestry of human existence exist individuals who stray into the realms of fabrication, constructing alternate realities to shield themselves from harsh truths. These individuals immerse themselves in self-fashioned narratives, weaving a web of deceit to obscure their insecurities and fears. Rather than confronting their inner selves with honesty and courage, they opt for the comforting embrace of illusions, where inconvenient truths are discarded in favor of pleasing fantasies. This penchant for escapism manifests as a dual-edged sword, a sanctuary for the troubled mind, yet a prison of self-deception. In this fabricated realm, the boundaries between truth and fiction blur, as reality bends to accommodate their desires and whims. The Stoic journey of self-awareness is forsaken, supplanted by the allure of a reality where discomforting truths find no refuge, and only comforting illusions reign supreme. Encountering individuals entrenched in false realities can be disheartening, as their resistance to acknowledge the truth poses a formidable barrier to any meaningful intervention. Despite your genuine intentions and unwavering support, their reluctance to confront reality may render your efforts ineffectual. In the subsequent segments of this video, we'll delve deeper into the intricacies of other personality types that may hinder your attempts to extend a helping hand. By recognizing these patterns, you'll be better equipped to navigate the complexities of human behavior and allocate your resources where they can truly make a difference. It is a nuanced and hazardous waltz with actuality, where the stake is one's genuine self. Yet what transpires when the facades are stripped away and actuality emerges in its stark form? Can these crafted delusions endure, or are we inevitably bound to confront the fears and avoidances we harbor? Pondering over these ersatz realities is not merely a matter of curiosity, but a summons to acknowledge and re-evaluate our authenticities. It's a proposition to look past the charades and discover the valor to lead a life that corresponds with the tangible world, despite its imperfections. The sages of Stoicism impart that we must grapple with our imperfections to mature. The conundrum with such souls is that their roots in make-believe tales are so profound that they negate other viewpoints. They overlook the fact that our minds possess the ability to transform our perception of reality, perceiving it through the prism of our sentiments rather than its actual manifestation. More often than not, their behavior stems not from malevolence but from a pattern of beguiling oneself. Such behavior may originate from deep-seated traumas or an intense desire for approval that skews their perception of existence. These challenges may have prompted them to fabricate a fantastical sanctuary for emotional survival. Endeavoring to aid these individuals poses a daunting task, as they have constructed robust mental barriers. While you might attempt to enlighten them with reality, they parry with reasoning that collapses under the scrutiny of actuality. Despite glaring evidence, they manipulate facts to conform to their accepted fiction. Genuine transformation is only possible if they concede the errors in their logic, a process that typically requires the aid of a seasoned psychological professional. This mirrors the dynamics in present-day political discourse where people hold fast to their doctrines, ignoring rational errors, and, in the face of inconsistencies, persist in their conviction of being in the right. 2. The opportunists. By understanding others with a depth that goes beyond the surface, we embody one of humanity's most commendable attributes. The Stoics, in their timeless wisdom, prize the art of seeing the world through the lens of empathy, embracing others' feelings with an open heart, devoid of bias. This readiness to grasp someone's emotional context is a virtue that elevates the spirit. Yet, this very virtue can be misconstrued by some, perceived as an opening for exploitation. There are those who, twisting the concept of empathy, see in another's generosity a vulnerability to be taken advantage of, donning the guise of friendship with selfish motives. How then to distinguish the genuine friend from the feigned ally? The key lies in the vigilant observation of their actions. A faithful friend seeks support in times of true need, displaying a mutual exchange of respect and care. In contrast, the exploiters expose themselves through a consistent pattern of requests and favors, often for trivial situations or those they could resolve on their own. The frequency and nature of their appeals are clear indicators of their real motives. Thus, as we intersect with others, empathy mustn't blind us to the reality of their intentions. We must couple the heart's generosity with the mind's caution, ensuring that our compassion is not misapplied but directed towards those who value and reciprocate it in kind. Some individuals possess an almost artistic ability to induce guilt in others. Initially, they might laud your qualities, inquiring, "Could you do this for me, seeing as you're such a good friend?" Seeking help occasionally is common, but these individuals habitually ask for assistance even in situations they could handle independently. They do not regard your time as valuable. It's a precarious situation as you find yourself acquiescing to their demands against your better judgment. They know how to make you feel in the wrong for refusing, and even after countless rescues, they do not change, believing there will always be someone to bail them out. It is advised that you contemplate distancing yourself from these individuals without remorse. After all, your well-being and responsibility should be your foremost concern. 3. The self-absorbed. There are those so immersed in themselves that they seem to believe the universe revolves around them. Self-worship is a puzzling and often draining trait of human nature. On life's path, it's inevitable to encounter those for whom thee is the pivot around which all perceivable reality orbits. They dwell in the delusion that each event, each whisper of fate, reverberates due to their presence. Picture this scene. You're sharing your frustrations about the city's chaotic traffic, and there stands the self-centered individual, diminishing your account with a sort of casual scorn, simply because they weren't ensnared in that gridlocked web. Or when you're beaming with joy, sharing news of a newly secured job, the same person quickly casts a pall over your good tidings, bemoaning the stagnant path of their career. This behavior can be likened to emotional vampirism, where your energy and joy are drained to satiate the insatiable void of their needs and dramas. In what should be a dialogue, the conversation tilts into a monologue where only the self-centered person's feelings and opinions seem to matter. Faced with this reality, one wonders, is it worth staying by someone so engrossed in themselves? And even more crucial, Do we possess the inner strength to demand that such an individual recognize and validate the feelings of others? It's vital to understand that no matter how much we commit to aiding someone on the path of self-improvement, if the person in question is resistant to change, it's likely they will remain static in their habits. Similarly, if we are on a path of personal growth and those around us drench us in negativity, they can undoubtedly become an impediment to our progress. In some situations, wisdom lies in knowing when to shield oneself and possibly distance oneself from those whose presence no longer enriches. Emotional self-defense in this context is not just an option, but a necessary strategy for psychological survival. 4. Those who don't acknowledge their flaws. These individuals shirk responsibility for their actions, never apologize or admit mistakes, showing a lack of self-criticism and humility, virtues that philosophers like the Stoics advocate as crucial for personal development. For them, the fault always lies elsewhere, never with themselves. They might attribute a negative outcome to bad luck rather than looking for personal or external faults. They inhabit a world where the reflection of their actions seems distant and unreachable, a world where they are never the architects of their misfortune. This perspective directly challenges Stoic teachings, which stress the importance of self-criticism and humility as foundational pillars for personal growth. The Stoics, with their relentless clarity, teach us that we should confront our shortcomings with the same equanimity with which we accept the whims of nature. As Seneca advises, we do not regard our vices as belonging to us in the same way we do not regard illnesses as part of our health. Therefore, when your mind rebels, remember that evil is not absolute evil if you prevent it from being your master. Those who evade responsibility for their deeds display a resistance to introspection, a refusal to acknowledge that imperfection is an intrinsic part of the human condition. The Stoics urge us to take full responsibility for our actions and to understand that error, when recognized and contemplated, is a powerful teacher. In the face of failure, instead of looking for someone to blame, Stoic philosophy counsels us to examine internal and external causes with equal measure. Epicurus, another great Stoic, highlights, "It is not things that disturb us, but our interpretation of their significance." And in this context, the interpretation is a denial of one's contribution to the issue. When considering the possibility of assisting such individuals, it is vital to reflect on the words of Marcus Aurelius. The best revenge is not to be like that. Thus, we can understand that in certain situations, our energy might be better invested in self-improvement and the practice of Stoic virtue rather than in attempting to change those who are unwilling. Finally, when we decide to distance ourselves, it is not with a heart heavy with resentment, but with the Stoic understanding that our inner peace and progress should not be compromised by others' obstinacy. As Epictetus reminds us, freedom is the only worthy goal we have, and sometimes true freedom means stepping back from those who are firmly anchored in their errors, choosing a path of self-awareness and serenity. Take charge of your life with the wisdom of history's greatest philosophers. Stoicism in the 21st century is your guide to resilience, well-being, and prosperity. Turn challenges into triumphs, stress into strength, uncertainty into clarity. And click now on the link in the pinned comment and begin your Stoic journey to a life of success and fulfillment. Get your ebook today. 5. Raises a legitimate concern about those who do not prepare for the future, preferring to live in a perpetual state of contentment with the present. This outlook stands in contrast to Stoic principles, which, while valuing the importance of living in the here and now, also acknowledge the necessity of readying oneself for the future through mindful actions in the present. Stoicism teaches us to embrace and appreciate the present without overlooking the natural progression of things, including the inevitable passage of time and the transience of circumstances. Seneca, a notable Stoic, advised, "One must gather the whole soul to forecast the future, even as the whole soul is concentrated." That is, future readiness should be a natural extension of the focus and dedication we apply to the present. Seeing potential in others and wishing for them to see it in themselves is a reflection of human compassion. However, according to the Stoics, each person must be capable of recognizing and harnessing their abilities. Marcus Aurelius, a Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, proclaimed that man's power over every event is akin in nature to the events themselves. This means we hold within us the power to shape our future through our current deeds. Encouraging someone to plan for the future doesn't entail denying anxiety or other difficult emotions, but understanding that they are part of the human experience. Stoicism doesn't promise the eradication of anxiety, but offers tools to manage it. Learning to live with these feelings without being overpowered by them is a challenge the Stoics urge us to undertake. Lastly, Epictetus reminds us that it's not the events that disturb us, but our interpretation of them. When we see someone with no plans for the future, we might interpret this lack of foresight as squandering potential. Nevertheless, it's crucial to acknowledge that each individual has their timing and path for development. While we encourage and support others in their growth, we must also accept that the choice to plan or not for the future is personal and should be respected, always with the hope that in due time, each will find their way to progress. 6. Those ensnared by pessimism. The sixth profile delves into a common quandary, the battle with chronic pessimism. Within the Stoic framework, such an attitude is counterproductive because Stoics espoused fostering a resilient mindset in the face of adversity, aiming not only for acceptance but also for transforming negative perceptions into constructive ones. Seneca, one of the most prominent Stoic thinkers, counseled that we must learn from our experiences and use difficulties as opportunities for growth. He stated, "It is not because things are difficult that we do not dare. It is because we do not dare that they are difficult." This suggests that the hurdle lies not in the situations themselves, but in our hesitancy to face them with bravery and optimism. The text highlights a focus on the negative, which runs counter to the Stoic practice of rational and objective reflection on issues. For Stoics, the key to inner peace is realizing we can control our reactions to external events. Epicurus, another Stoic philosopher, emphasized that we should not fret over occurrences outside our control, but rather concentrate on how we respond to them. Furthermore, Stoic philosophy appreciates the calmness that comes with gratitude and acknowledging the positives in life, even amid trials. Marcus Aurelius frequently reminded himself to view things with appreciation and find joy in the present. He wrote, "When you arise in the morning, think of what a precious privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love." In dealing with individuals mired in pessimism, Stoic wisdom would suggest offering support while also safeguarding ourselves against being engulfed by their negativity. It is vital to understand that while empathy is a virtue, we cannot impose change upon others. Each person must desire transformation for themselves. Stoics teach us to invest our energy where it can have a positive impact. And sometimes this may mean preserving our well-being rather than endlessly attempting to alter someone's outlook. Consequently, it might be wiser to direct our efforts towards those open and willing to embrace a more balanced and optimistic worldview, those who, in keeping with Stoic self-improvement practices, are prepared to work on themselves and grow with the support provided to them. 7. Those who absolve themselves from blame. The seventh profile addresses a core issue for Stoic philosophy: personal accountability. The Stoics believed we have the power to choose how we interpret and respond to the events that befall us, succinctly captured in the famous quote by Epictetus: "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." In the case of those who dodge taking responsibility for their actions, consistently shifting the blame to external factors or others, they're neglecting one of the most vital aspects of personal freedom and growth, which is the authorship of one's choices and the acceptance of their consequences. For Stoics, self-examination and self-criticism are crucial for character development and for living a good, meaningful life. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher emperor, stressed the importance of introspection and owning up to one's shortcomings and progress. In his meditations, he would question himself and recall the significance of examining his actions and motivations rather than blaming others or circumstances. Thus, to assist someone stuck in this loop of shirking responsibility, Stoic wisdom would suggest encouraging the person to engage in honest self-assessment, urging them to understand what is within their control: their actions, reactions, and judgments. However, Stoics would also acknowledge that each individual must be willing to undertake this journey of self-discovery. It's not something that can be forced from the outside. Moreover, while we can offer support and perspective, the Stoics would remind us not to let ourselves be overly disturbed by others' failures or their refusal to change. We must accept that we do not control other people's actions, only our own. Change must come from within, and often, suffering and hardship are the catalysts that lead people to introspection and the desire for change. Therefore, the harshness of learning from one's own experiences mentioned in the text could reflect the Stoic teachings that life's difficulties offer valuable opportunities for personal growth, and that sometimes the most effective learning comes through directly confronting the consequences of our own choices. 8. Those with expectations of privilege. The expectation of unearned privilege contradicts the work ethic and the focus on self-development that are characteristic of Stoic philosophy. Stoics teach that an individual's worth doesn't come from innate privileges or expectations of special treatment, but from the cultivation of personal virtues such as wisdom, justice, courage, and temperance. Epicurus emphasized that we should strive to be deserving of what we wish for, and that the sense of entitlement without corresponding effort is a delusion and a source of dissatisfaction. Marcus Aurelius, although an emperor, wrote about the importance of living by nature and not placing oneself above others, regardless of one's position. He often reflected on the impermanence of power, positions, and the importance of staying humble. For Stoics, the universe owes nothing to anyone. What happens to us is the result of a complex network of causes and effects, and genuine rewards come through virtuous actions and hard work, not unfounded expectations or demands. In dealing with people who have expectations of privilege, the Stoic approach would suggest first being an example of moderation and virtue-focused living, demonstrating through one's actions the value of work and fair contribution. Furthermore, it would be advisable to encourage such individuals to reflect on their concepts of merit and justice, perhaps gently challenging them to consider what they truly deserve based on their actions, not their desires or expectations. Stoics would also advise avoiding negative emotional reactions to ingratitude or a sense of privilege in others, keeping in mind that everyone acts according to their understanding, and sometimes direct experience of the consequences of their unrealistic expectations may be the most profound lesson they can learn. 9. Those resistant to learning and change. The Stoics viewed resistance to learning and change as significant barriers to moral and intellectual progress. For them, Wisdom was not just a state to be achieved, but an ongoing process of personal development. Stoic philosophy encourages internal reflection, honest self-assessment, and a willingness to adapt and learn from life's experiences. Epicurus, one of the most notable Stoic philosophers, argued that we should be open to re-examining our beliefs and attitudes, as it is often these, not external events themselves, that lead us astray. He advocated that we should not fear self-correction, as true learning comes from the ability to change and improve. Marcus Aurelius also wrote about the importance of being open to new ideas and perspectives and not being obstinate in one's own opinions. To deal with those resistant to learning and change, the Stoic approach would not be to force transformation, but to lead by example through one's behavior. Additionally, Stoics would suggest practicing empathy, trying to understand why these people cling to certain beliefs or behaviors, and approaching discussions about change in a way that respects their perspective. However, Stoic philosophy also recognizes that there are things beyond our control, including the attitudes and choices of others. Therefore, it may be appropriate to accept that despite our best efforts, some people may need to come to the knowledge and the willingness to change on their paths and timelines. This doesn't mean giving up on them, but respecting their journey and being available to assist when they are open to change. And as a good Stoic might say, worry less about convincing others to change and more about being an example of positive change. Want to find out how to achieve this? Take a look at the pinned comment. There's an exceptional ebook there that will elevate you, making you see everything in a different light. I'll see you in the next video. Stay with the Creator.